So, for my next installment of Life in Albania, I'm going to tell you about sources of information. You're trying to find out what you can about the country, and so you go to ChatGPT or Grok or whatever AI you happen to like, and it will feed you a big steaming pile of garbage. It doesn't know where to look, and the worst part about AI in general, at least as of 2026, is if it doesn't know, it will lie. There should be something built into it to just say, I don't know, but because it's made by humans, and humans have a hard time saying, I don't know, they built an artificial intelligence that also can't admit that it doesn't know something. So if it doesn't know, it'll make things up. If it does know, it probably knows the wrong thing, because sources of information are not very good when it comes to Albania. So Google, as an example, said there are virtually no electric vehicle charging stations in the country. So we sold our Nissan Leaf and then found out that nearly all the taxi cabs in the country, at least in Tirana, the capital, are electric. So clearly they're being charged up. And I've seen electric vehicle charging stations all around the country. In fact, one of the most popular vehicles here after German cars, Mercedes, Volkswagen, Audi, is BYD, which is Chinese electric vehicle. So those people are clearly charging their cars somewhere, somehow. So Google is wrong about that. Google is wrong about no BMW motorcycle dealers in the country. I sold my BMW rather than ship it here, largely because Google said, well, there aren't any dealers in the country, so how are you going to get it worked on? And what if you need parts? And so we sold it, and then driving through Tirana, I found the BMW motorcycle dealer. So once again, Google is just flat wrong. We needed to get passport-sized pictures taken, and Google said, oh, it's right over here on this street in this building, and it's not there. That was a coffee shop. So we did find the place. It was about 2 blocks away from where Google thought it was. So Google is bad when it comes to facts. Google is bad when it comes to navigation. Google Maps have as many as 4 names for our street. We still don't know what the real name is, even though we live here. Google Street View shows a house where our apartment is, and they label it a hotel. So it's not a hotel, it's not somebody's house, it's an 11-story apartment building that Google doesn't know about because it's only been here about 5 years. And Google is typically about 10 years out of date. So I can stop telling you about Google because it's worthless. Also, some of the things Google will tell you about, like visa requirements, a lot of that information is also out of date or doesn't apply to you. If you're an American, it may not know that. And it may tell you information that doesn't apply to Americans because we're special. Anyway, so Google, closest thing to worthless that you can find. So where do you get your information then if Google is so bad? Well, I suggest YouTube, which is why I'm here, to help people on YouTube find out information. And I'm not the greatest source of information. I am not the be-all and end-all of information. I'm here to tell you my own experiences. And they may not be your experience. They might not be the experience of other YouTubers. And that's fine. Take this and everything else and put it all together in a blender and see what makes sense to you. If I say something and everybody else says, that's crazy, well, I'm probably wrong. And that goes for anybody else too. But if, say, 5 out of 6 YouTubers are telling you something and one of them saying something different, probably the 5 are right and the 1 is wrong. Or that one person's experience is different. So, YouTube, where are you going to go? Well, of course, first thing you look at is all the pretty people and pretty pictures of the I'm on vacation for 2 weeks with an unlimited budget. And isn't this place beautiful? And it costs nothing, and the beaches are beautiful, and the people are great, and the food is great, and everything is cheap. And now I'm on to my next destination, and catch me in Australia next. Uh, those people are fun to look at, and they might give you ideas about what you want to visit once you're here, but they tell you virtually nothing about actually living here, what it's like. I mean, you're not going out for $100 dinner when you live here. You're going out for a $5 dinner. Well, okay, the dollar is tanking, so it's probably a $7 dinner now. Uh, anyway, so the other one that I think is worthless are the ones that say, invest, buy now. There was one guy famously saying you could get a a sea view apartment in Saranda for $30,000 or some silly thing, 30,000 euros on the front line. None of that. It wasn't true when he said it. It's even less true now because prices keep going up. So if somebody is saying invest now, that's not who you want to listen to either. You want to listen to people who come here, who live here, and just what it's like day to day. Now, there's the flip side of that, the people who say, you can live on $100 a month. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but there are those people. And while you can live like a homeless person here, you could get a studio apartment or live in somebody's basement, or there are ways to be absolutely live off of nearly nothing. That's not how you want to live. And you can live better if low price is your ultimate goal. You could live better in several Southeast Asia countries, probably in South America. If you move to South America, you'd be an American citizen before long. No, I don't want to go there. That's talking politics. But anyway, it's not the cheapest place to live, but it is a lot less than living in the U.S. So you want to get your information from the people who have moved here. And so who are those people, and how do you find them? Well, the first one that we looked at, and I have to thank him again, is Patrick from Retire Overseas with Patrick. Patrick and his wife April live in Pogradets, which if you've ever been to Lake Tahoe, imagine that without the casinos. Nice little small town, beautiful mountains that dive deep into a crystal blue lake. And just like Lake Tahoe is on the border of California and Nevada, well, Lake Ohrid is where Pogradets is, and it's on the border of North Macedonia. And I learned that pronunciation from Patrick. Macedonia is what they call it. Everybody else calls it Macedonia. And it's not just Macedonia, it's North Macedonia, because Greece claimed the name Macedonia as part of Greece. So they had a fight over it, and it turns out they're calling themselves North Macedonia. Anyway, haven't been there yet, want to go. Patrick and April. Patrick calls his viewers alley cats, and that's affectionately because he likes cats and he loves alleys. Instead of just walking up and down the main street and showing you the big fancy buildings, the hotels and restaurants, and acting like a tourist, he takes you down the back alleys to the crumbling streets and ancient buildings that people are still living in. And once in a while, he winds up in somebody's backyard. He has befriended a few dogs in the neighborhood. He's a lot of fun to watch and a really good guy. They lived a lot of their lives in California and were simply priced out, moved to Texas and lived there, retired, and moved to originally to Tirana and then on to Pogradets for a, as he calls it, Mayberry lifestyle. So if you're old enough to retire, you're old enough to know what Mayberry is. All right, so also in Pogradets are some other people. Craig Zivas, and it's Zieves, has a channel that's just his name, Craig Zivas. He's thinking about rebranding that, but he hasn't quite done it yet. Craig's videos are mostly focused on history, and I am fascinated by the history. The history feeds the culture, so to understand the people here, you need to know some of the history. So his history videos, he takes you around to the sites. He's not just not like a professor standing in a room. He's taking you around and saying, here, this happened, and this is important because of this reason. So I really like Craig's videos for the history and culture. And then also a friend of Patrick and April, who then befriended Craig, would be Andrea, whose channel is New Life Albania. And a lot of her stuff, she's a digital nomad, meaning she works from home. She has a job that's U.S. based. She works U.S. hours, and but she's able to work from Pogradets using her laptop and whatever other resources are required for her job. I don't know. She's done a few videos about working remotely. She's done some about cost of living and shopping. She's a single mom with a 17-year-old, and they, along with Craig now, have been on several hikes in the mountains around the area, around Pogradets and other areas. So highly recommend her channel as well. A lot of good information. Another denizen of Pogradets is James Lightheart. James has been here probably longer than most people. I think he's been in Albania for 7 years. He's interesting character. He plays basketball on, I think it's a semi-professional team. From what I understand, the team isn't that good, and their track record can be depressing for him, but it's fun. He likes to go camping. A lot of his stuff is family oriented. His family has come out to visit him on a few occasions. So good channel there too as well. James Lightheart. Secret Destinations is another channel. That's Kevin and Wendy, and they came from Santa Cruz, California, which if you've ever been there, it's one of my favorite places on earth. I love the culture. I love the scenery. I don't love the flooding in the winter, but they got priced out. So they decided they're going to hit the road and see what the rest of the world has to offer. And they wound up, at least for the time being, in Shkodra. And some of the spellings and some of the pronunciations are kind of funny here in Albania because it changes with how it's used in a sentence. And that's just mind-boggling to me. I mean, you wouldn't say, I'm from Chicago, but I'm going to Chicago, so I use two different words to describe Chicago, but that's what they do here. So if you see different spellings and different pronunciations for one place, it's because of the Albanian language, which we'll talk about in another video. But anyway, getting back to Kevin and Wendy, they may not stay here permanently. They have not applied for residency yet, so they're just doing the 1 year thing. Maybe go on somewhere else, maybe spend a few months outside the country and then come back. Who knows? But because they were motivated by finances, Kevin has done a few videos that talk specifically about costs of living in America versus cost of living here. One was highly controversial because he said, look, I can get a loaf of bread for, I think it was less than $1, translated, of course, from Albanian lek. And you can find bread in America for as much as $20 for an artisan crafted whatever loaf of bread in New York City or something. And then he showed comparisons of similar, we're not talking factory made Wonder Bread, but actually handmade bread, because that's all they have here. It's from the local bakery. Anyway, that video blew up because people were saying, oh, bread doesn't cost $20 in America. But you can find $20 bread in America. You could never find $20 bread in Albania. That would be insane. People would just think you're crazy. Anyway, but if you want more numbers, graphs, more explanation about the value of money, the value of the lek versus the dollar, and how it's used, as well as views of Shkodra and getting a haircut and other stuff like that. Highly recommend them. That's Secret Destinations. One of the newest channels, and in my opinion, also one of the best, a lot of really good information, is Smile Abroad. Sam and Spencer have been here over a year now, and they have set up a business helping people move, giving them pointers on how to, how to vacate America or wherever you're from, and how to get settled in here. They live in Saranda, which is a resort on the southern end of the country. They have a beautiful view. They live in a beautiful place, and they're, of course, younger. They're about the age of my kids, which that's kind of unusual. I mean, most of the people who come here are retired because they're on a fixed income that they don't have to show up and go to work. And these guys are setting up their own business or businesses here. And like I said, a lot of great information, really nice. I think anybody who is trying to help people get here is doing the world a favor. So that's Smile Abroad. And they also have, what do you call it? A group. There's a word for it, and I can't think of it right now because I am old. But they have group chats, and people get together and ask questions and figure out what their needs are. So highly recommend them as well. There's another one. Tony has two channels. Tony he's from, I think, South Carolina, but he's lived in the Far East, I think it was Vietnam, for years, and decided that he wanted to come to the country that has more coffee shops than anywhere else per capita and open a coffee shop. Now, on the surface, that sounds absolutely insane. Why would you do that? And his argument is, well, coffee shops are so popular, you're always going to have customers. And there is a certain logic to that. So anyway, one of his channels, Cafe 1912, is all about setting up the business. So if you're interested in coming here and setting up a business, even if it's a coffee shop, he can tell you everything he went through, from getting construction workers, finding a location and then getting people to work on it, and getting electricity and water filtration, and all the things that he went through to get this place up and running. That's on his Cafe 1912. That's KAFE 1912. And then if you want to know more of his day-to-day, like he was riding around on an electric stand-up scooter, and then I think he bought a car and also bought a small motorcycle, and those kind of experiences, and showing you some apartments that are available, stuff like that. That's on his Narrow Gate channel. So highly recommend that. Now, somebody who doesn't have a YouTube channel, as far as I know, but she's everywhere else, is Alice Taylor. Alice came from Great Britain, And I never know which part of Great Britain anybody's from. Doesn't matter to me. I've only passed through it, never spent any real time there. But she's on Facebook, she's on Instagram, she's on Euronews as a reporter. You see her interviewing important politicians, and anyway, so Alice Taylor, if you run across her, she is a great source of information. And speaking of Facebook, there are Facebook groups. Probably the first one I ran across was called Expats in Albania. And those are some people who actually set up a business or two to help people get here. And again, like I said, I have no problem. I'm a capitalist, socialist, whatever else you want to call it. I think people ought to be helping each other out whenever they can. And if you make money doing it, more power to you. So that's what that Facebook page, Expats in Albania, they will point you to people who can help. They can help. They have people that they know who can help, whether it's trying to learn the language or find a real estate agent or find, whatever you might need here. They are here to help, and they have businesses that do that. So highly recommend them as well. So that's Expats in Albania. And then the next one on my list is also called Expats in Albania, but then there's a dash and it says the not-for-profit one, or something along those lines. Anyway, not-for-profit. Like I said, I don't have a problem with anybody making money, but if somebody is out there trying to help people, couldn't come up with an original name, so they took somebody else's name but said, no, that's not us. I don't know who did it first, and I don't really care, but I'm on there a fair amount just to answer people's questions that I know how to answer. Again, I don't tell people this is what you need to do. I tell people this is what I did. So the not-for-profit page on Facebook. Oh, also, Smile Abroad guys are on Facebook. And in fact, just about everybody is on Facebook. Every month or two, I get the urge to just dump Facebook altogether, but it's still a good way for me to communicate with some people. So anyway, let me see if there's anything else I can tell you about. On Facebook also, each fairly larger town will have an expat group. There are expat groups in Saranda, in Vlora, in Durrës, in Tirana, that are expats in this town. And not necessarily all Americans. I mean, expats come from all over the place. But when we first got here, I really didn't want to see any other Americans. I was done. But after I've been here for a while, I realized, but that's the same feeling that those people have who came here. They're more like me than what I left behind. So we have met up with a few expat groups, and I gotta say that it's been a very pleasant experience. And so if you're thinking about going to a particular town, say Durrës, for example, just look for expats in Durrës. I don't know what their title is, but there are groups in the larger cities. And it's a good way to get together, or even if you're just looking for information. And I guess the only other thing I would say is on these Facebook groups, there are what I call anonymous trolls. Now, I understand people have a reason for being anonymous. If you want to ask, where do I get herpes cream? You don't want to say, oh, by the way, and you want to go on a date. I mean, there are valid reasons, whatever they are, for being anonymous. But if the reason you're anonymous is so that you can get on there and troll people, and by troll, I mean people who say, Albania is a terrible place, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, that kind of nonsense, I think they should be banned. I will if there's somebody who's being obnoxious, and there are, uh, I have no problem blocking them. That's what the block function is for. I never need to hear from you again. Nobody needs that kind of negativity in their life. And if you just feel like spreading it, well, that's on you. But don't do it anonymously, because you can't block anonymous. Then I have to go track down the admins. And as the admin of a totally unrelated Facebook page, you're not watching it every day. You're not watching, you're not monitoring, you're not keeping an eye on all these people. And anyway, just to say that there are some bad actors on Facebook page. So watch out for them. Again, if 5 people are telling you that it's great and person number 6 is telling you it's awful, it's probably person number 6 that's awful and not the circumstances. Certainly not Albania. Well, that's about all I got for today. I'll make another one soon. Hope you're enjoying this. If you have questions, if you have comments, if you have something good to say or want to see something, tell me about it. If you don't like it, move on. Nobody needs that much negativity in their life. Thanks. Bye.